Good evening, everyone. Officially, welcome to today's program. This is Asda 101, the first session in the inaugural Asda Chapter Leadership Academy. I'm Kylie Weller. I'm Asda's Chapter Engagement Manager, and I will be delivering the presentation tonight along with Sarah Murphy, Asda's Director of Membership, and Ellen Ryan, Asda's Director of Finance. So while we're getting things started, it would be great to have everyone put their chapter and their leadership position in the chat to say hi. Give you guys a quick second to do so. Two Florida schools were in there first. I see Lincoln Memorial, another Nova, California. Awesome, everyone, Harvard. So we really have everybody from across the country here tonight. Looks like we have 68 people in here right now, and we are expecting 62-ish chapters to be represented on this call. So again, amazing. We're really looking forward to the call tonight. We are so excited to have you all here. This session is designed to share more about Asda's history, member benefits, the role of the chapter leader, financial requirements, and chapter support. We recommend that you plan to schedule a meeting with your board to share this information that you learned tonight. Make sure you're taking notes on the key highlights and items for your chapter to discuss. During the presentation, if you have questions, please type them in the chat. We'll have some time to answer questions at the end of the session. We're also going to provide the contact information for the presenters if you'd like to email us directly. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sam Setru, National Asda President, to say a few words about tonight's session. Take it away, Sam.
All right, thank you, Kylie. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to hop in to say a quick hello. If I haven't met you already, my name is Sam Setru. I'm a fourth-year student at Penn Dental. First of all, I just wanted to congratulate you all on your new roles in your Asda chapters. Serving on Asda leadership is truly a privilege, but also a great responsibility. And I know you will all make the most of it this year. So I think in terms of today's presentation, you will find it to be very helpful. We've put this together. The staff's team has done a great job, and we're excited to share this valuable information with you all here today. Also, I just wanted to thank you all for attending and representing your chapters today. Like Kylie mentioned, I just want to emphasize that we highly recommend you take notes and take all that you learned back to your leadership teams back home to your schools, so that way you can bring your teams onto the same page. Okay, and then please do remember that we do have our amazing Asda staff support as always, so you can reach out if needed. Kylie and Sarah and Ellen, they're all on this call. They're our staff support here today, and they're going to provide their information along with Calendly links, so you can sign up using those links whenever you need throughout the year on an as-needed basis. Okay, so please remember that information. And that's all from me. Just wanted to say a quick hello, and I'm going to pass it over to our Director of Membership, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Sam, and welcome everyone. Super excited to have you all here this evening. So, Kylie, if you want to go to the next slide. So here's our agenda for this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about overall Asda information, some member benefits for you and your chapter members, and then talk about your role as a chapter leader and expectations of National Asda of you in that role. So Asda was founded in 1971. It is the largest student-run dental organization. We have chapters in every dental school in the US and Puerto Rico, which makes up 70 chapters. And those 70 chapters are part of 11 districts. And overall, we have 82% of the pre-doctoral market share. So 82% of dental students in the US and Puerto Rico are Asda members, which is very impressive. Asda's mission is to introduce students to lifelong involvement in organized dentistry and provide services, information, education, representation, and advocacy. As a student member, your professional life is shaped by forces both inside and outside of dentistry. One of the most important steps you and your chapter members can take to supplement your education and to protect your career investment is to stay informed and involved in the changing landscape of your profession through participation in Asda. Asda's vision is to advance the dental profession by developing exemplary leaders like all of you and inspiring member advocacy. So there's 3 levels to Asda: national, district, and chapter, and every level is very important. National consists of the board of directors and executive committee, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And then we have 11 districts throughout the country. And then we have 70 chapters. Membership engagement happens primarily at the chapter level, especially for incoming D1 students. National Asda recently conducted a membership survey, and one of the major areas of opportunity was the local chapter experience. And that makes sense because chapters have been through a lot in the last 5 years, with going through COVID, coming out of COVID, figuring out how to function post-COVID. So it's important for all of you to make meaningful engagement experiences at that local level for the members in your chapter. And through these training sessions, National Asda is here to support you in making that happen. The Board of Trustees, the trustees actually wear many hats, but 2 main hats, and that is one at the national level. The trustees oversee the budget, appointing leaders, passing resolutions, and pushing forward policies. And then also at the district level, they represent the chapters in their district and run their district cabinets. In addition to the Board of Trustees, sorry, Kylie, in addition to the Board of Trustees, we also have the Executive Committee at the national level, and that consists of the president, 2 vice presidents, the Speaker of the House, and the Executive Director. And the purpose of the Executive Committee is to really oversee the work of Asda in between all of the board meetings. So they're very involved in all of aspects of Asda. Next is your district, and the district communicates national Asda strategic goals, initiatives, and resources, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a minute. Each district has a district meeting or a joint district meeting, and the districts foster inter-chapter communication and events. And then your chapter. Your chapter is a very important component in Asda's national organizational structure. The purpose of the chapter is to promote and serve the mission of Asda, to recruit, inform, and involve local members in the activities of the association at all levels, provide local representation by sending 2 delegates to the association's House of Delegates meeting at the annual meeting every year, and support the leadership development of its members at the local, district, and national level. A lot of opportunities for engagement happen at the chapter level through activities such as fundraisers, lunch and learns, state lobbying events, vendor fairs, and chapter communications. And then in addition to all those volunteers, there is also a staff of association professionals that are headquartered at the national office in Chicago. Each of the departments that you see listed there are represented by staff. And the purpose of staff is really to carry out the day-to-day operations of the organization. So that's a high-level overview of the organization. And now we're going to talk a little bit about membership benefits. As an Asda member, you and your chapter members have access to the benefits you see listed above here, and that can help you succeed in school and also in your career. These benefits offer your chapter members opportunities to get involved and create a community and a connection to peers through Asda at the chapter, district, and national level. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into each of these areas. The Deals and Offers program offers discounts and financial benefits and savings and include all of the companies that you see listed here. We are always adding new benefits, so it's important to keep an eye out in your Asda communications for new partners. And not only can these companies and these deals and offers save you as a member money, but they can also save your chapter money. There's shipping discounts, there's office supplies discounts, there's printing discounts. So depending on the types of events that your chapter is planning, be sure to check these out and utilize these benefits for your chapter events. Contour is Asda's digital publication, and it is written by dental students, by Asda alum, and by experts in the field. Article topics include wellness, leadership, advocacy, science, technology, and more. It's published monthly, so be sure to check it out and encourage your chapter members to check it out. Asda is very dedicated to community service and outreach. National Asda encourages and supports chapter community service and outreach initiatives all year long, but especially during Service Month, which takes place every January. Asda offers district, chapter, and individual level challenges during Service Month, so we encourage every chapter to participate. A lot of chapters host events like providing dental services or education at a homeless shelter, or hosting a clothing drive on campus, or cleaning up trash at the park. Community service benefits both those receiving the service and also those volunteering their time to support others. Advocacy is a major pillar of Asda. The goals of advocacy are to keep students informed. This is achieved through advocacy webinars and Asda's publication called Advocacy Brief. Advocacy Brief shares updates on the state and federal level about issues that affect dental students, like licensure reform, mid-level providers, student debt, and more. It also provides opportunities to champion your rights and get involved through Asda Action, which is a tool that lets you send letters directly to lawmakers. And it also supports patients, supporting specific legislation to alleviate barriers to care and protecting patients. DEI is also very important to Asda. The Council on Professional Issues is currently planning DEI Week, which happens every October. So be on the lookout for ways that you and your chapter can get involved with DEI Week this year. And wellness. Asda's wellness initiative focuses on 5 of the commonly accepted dimensions of wellness: emotional, physical, intellectual, occupational, and environmental. Wellness Month takes place in September every year, and there will be a variety of ways for you and your chapter to participate in Wellness Month. So you should start seeing communications about Wellness Month within the next month or so. And finally, everyone's favorite benefit, the national meetings. Asda has 2 national meetings every year: the National Leadership Conference, which takes place in Chicago. This year, it will be November 8th through the 10th. And the content of that meeting focuses on leadership, career planning, advocacy, personal development and wellness, and clinical practice management. And then annual session, which takes place every February/March. This upcoming year in 2025, it will be in Kansas City, Missouri, though it moves around every year to a different location. And the annual session is where Asda elects its new leaders and passes new policies for the year. Attendance at national events is instrumental to the success of your chapter. It is important that your chapter is represented at the meetings, and those attending bring back the information they learned and the ideas that were shared for the rest of the members of your chapter. The registration fee for each meeting varies. Chapters are responsible for securing funding to attend the national meetings and also for the travel for national meetings. And we know it can be difficult to schedule time away from school and to get approved for the time off. And so Kylie is going to talk a little bit more about working with your administration. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kylie to talk more about the role of the chapter leader.
Thank you, Sarah. Like, okay, let me unmute. Let me get back over here to the other screen. Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Now that you've all heard the overall information about Asda, we're going to talk more about your role as a chapter leader. There's definitely going to be a lot of information shared, so we encourage you to take some notes, be thinking about those key points that you want to bring back to discuss with the rest of your chapter and leadership. And a reminder, too, that we are recording this session to share with attendees. One of the main roles of chapter leaders, especially those on the executive committee, is to provide leadership and vision. As chapter leaders, you all are responsible for setting the vision and goals for your chapter. In your role, you will inspire and motivate your peers to work towards those goals, providing direction and guidance. Let's dive a little deeper into your role as a chapter leader. As a chapter leader, you help oversee the day-to-day operations of your chapter. This includes following the chapter policies stated in National Asda's bylaws. Those policies are abiding by Asda's governing documents, supporting Asda's mission, ensuring chapter members are members of National Asda, and submitting required materials annually. As chapter leaders, you help your chapter and your chapter members carry out these policies efficiently and effectively. Chapters are required annually to submit this information, including new chapter leader information, updated chapter bylaws, member roster updates, filing taxes through Asda's group exemption or through a 990 form, and securing a chapter advisor. Supplying Asda with this information is required, and it helps your chapter be successful. Executing these tasks ensures you are holding elections, reviewing your chapter bylaws for accuracy and updated processes, processing your chapter's membership data and dues, and filing those tax returns. Don't worry, we're going to explore these topics a little more thoroughly as we move through this session. You represent your chapter within the larger student body and school community. This involves advocating for your chapter's interests, communicating with stakeholders, and participating in decision-making processes and meetings. We recommend your chapter plan and execute the items you see here as part of your annual chapter operations. The chapter president should schedule and preside over at least 4 e-board meetings and 2 all-member meetings. Meetings for your full membership are usually informative or educational and serve as an essential communication vehicle for all Asda members and interested faculty at your school. Those meeting topics can include membership benefits, the legislative agenda, opportunities for national positions, annual session, or other topics that are important to your chapter. The e-board will also meet regularly with chapter leaders to plan and execute at least 4 member programming events, and we know usually many more than that. To maintain communication with administration, we recommend meeting formally with administration at least twice. It's a good idea to outline these chapter leader meeting requirements in your bylaws, and we recommend reviewing your bylaws for this information. You might know that Asda has developed many how-to guides on these topics to assist you in your chapter operations roles. The guides provide helpful steps on a range of topics, and each guide is filled with ideas from other Asda chapters that offer insight into how to make your chapter stronger. Chapters fulfilling the operations pieces outlined here are strong and successful chapters. Putting your leadership into action really involves member engagement. As chapter leaders, you foster that sense of community and engagement among your members at the local level. Under your direction, your chapter provides opportunities for participation in all those areas we heard as National Asda initiatives earlier, like Month of Service, Wellness Month, and Advocacy Month. Sending chapter representatives to NLC and annual session facilitates networking and promotes collaboration. Participating in those national meetings and leading your chapter to apply for award opportunities allows you to gain monetary support that expands not only your own growth and development, but the growth and development of your chapter members. The Gold Crown Awards, the Grants Program, and the Asda Fever Event Challenge include a monetary component to support your chapter's programming. We hope to see your applications this year. We've touched on goals a couple times in the last few slides. So to accomplish everything you set out to do this year and to achieve your chapter success, your chapter must establish goals. And you guessed it, establishing attainable, measurable, and timely goals is part of your role too. You can see on the slide that we need to set those goals to achieve chapter success. Your executive committee should determine what goals you want to focus on this year. Again, ensuring those goals are measurable and that they relate to Asda initiatives like membership, communications, organization and leadership, and advocacy. Make sure you're setting those deadlines and assigning the responsibility to one of your board members for overseeing the goal. Setting goals requires communication, and in fact, everything we're talking about today involves communication. As a chapter leader, effective communication is crucial. Establishing goals and ensuring your chapter reaches those goals requires you to communicate, delegate, keep members informed about important updates, events, and opportunities. As part of the role of chapter leaders, we wanted to touch on the chapter leader transition. Most of you have probably already held your transition meeting for this year, but holding a transition meeting gives you the opportunity to get information from the person who previously held your role to ensure that continuity of carrying out the work of the chapter and serving your members. We recommend you meet to understand the responsibilities of the position you are taking on, understand any incomplete projects and goals, and learn where those specifics are saved. Where are those emails, those lists, those contacts? It might be a Google Drive or a flash drive. Throughout the year, it's important that you learn who your members are and set your chapter up for future success. Understanding how your chapter wants to grow allows you to provide the mentorship, training, and resources to help members achieve their personal and professional goals and take your chapter into the future. As we get ready to move into the next section of this presentation, you now know the role of a chapter leader is multifaceted. It really requires strong leadership skills, organizational abilities, and dedication to advancing the mission and objectives of Asda. The next item we're going to address is membership dues processing. Before we get into some of the details of how students become members of Asda, here are a few key facts you should know as an Asda chapter leader. Asda opens the membership year each September. The 2025 membership year will open on September 4th. The 2025 membership dues are $97. Pre-doctoral membership dues cover your membership in Asda and your student membership in the ADA. Your memberships entitle you to the benefits of both organizations. And as you saw earlier in this session, Asda membership represents the first step toward a lifelong involvement in organized dentistry. Once students become Asda members and are added to our system, they will have an Asda member profile through My Asda on our website, asdanet.org. We'll show you what that looks like in a couple slides. Take a minute to talk about the two ways we have to process membership dues. The first one is auto-enroll. 72% of Asda chapters are auto-enroll. That's roughly 50 out of 70 chapters. Auto-enroll is when Asda dues are automatically paid for by the school, a third party, or are included in part of the student's tuition. Students at auto-enroll chapters do not individually join Asda. Instead, the remittance processor, and that might be a person in your school's administration or someone holding a chapter membership chair position, submits that information and payment for the entire school at once. Recruited chapters require students to apply and pay their Asda dues individually. That's either to a representative at their chapter or online on the Asda website. It's helpful for recruited chapters to have a position responsible for overseeing membership recruitment and working with administration to collect that membership information. Recruited chapters need to consider when to recruit new members and have current members renew, and a great time to execute this process is during your Fever Week or orientation event. Chapter leaders often play a role in recruiting new members and promoting the benefits of joining the organization or chapter they represent. This is, of course, true of your role as an Asda chapter leader. Your efforts to raise awareness and visibility of Asda to students at your school is why Asda is what it is today, the largest student-run dental organization in the country. The first step to introducing students to Asda is holding a successful Fever Week or Asda orientation. Recruited chapters will use this opportunity to get students to join or renew, and both recruited and auto-enrolled chapters will use their Fever Week events to inform members of the benefits they receive and encourage them to participate in both the community that Asda offers and the volunteer opportunities. Fever Week should be held in the fall as soon as school starts. Okay, we want to involve you guys a little bit here, so let's take a short pause and have you guys share in the chat your Fever Week plans and what has been successful at your school. I'm going to give you a quick second to go ahead and share some of those things that work well for your school during your Fever Week. I'll share a couple of them out loud. Ooh, pickleball tournament. That's a fun one. Everyone loves pickleball still. What other things do chapters do? Scavenger hunt, that's a fun one. Pool party and popsicles. Welcome socials, of course. Okay, seeing some baseball games, cookouts. Awesome. So as you guys keep sharing, I'm going to go ahead and share a few key steps to holding a successful Fever Week. Have a confident and well-informed team and make sure your leaders and event planners know and understand all that Asda offers. Use this time to recruit and engage incoming first-year students. You might want to begin identifying students who want to serve as class reps or in any D1 positions on your board. Target D2, D3, and D4 students individually. Sometimes they have different needs than the D1 students. Sign up current members for another year of membership or make sure students know they're members and how they can benefit from their membership. All these events that you're sharing, set up an Asda table or give them something that has to do with Asda to explain what Asda is all about. Whenever you can, engage in one-on-one recruitment and consider real-time one-on-one dues collection. So know that National Asda is going to share resources to support your Fever Week efforts, and these will be available in the coming weeks. Once you hold your Fever Weeks, make sure you apply for the Asda Fever Week Challenge. The top 3 chapters will win $500, and you can see the 2023 first, second, and third place winners on the slide. So here's a timeline of that membership dues processing procedure. The steps you see on the screen here outline the process that needs to happen for a successful dues collection. Again, we recommend you host that Asda Fever Week or orientation event soon after D1s join you on campus. In August, you will receive a listing of your D2 through D4 students to review for any updates. And those updates could include things like name changes, updates to graduation dates, and any students who have transferred in or out of your school. Your chapters will also start collecting D1 information to send to Asda. The goal is to have all information to Asda in September, and I know we can do it, and all invoices paid in December. Lastly, and ongoing, is to continue to promote the value of membership and to start the year off strong with chapter events and programming discussing the ways to get involved in the benefits of Asda membership. Just like with Fever Week, we will share more information, templates, and instructions around membership processing. When you receive those materials, please make sure you're reading the emails and responding in a timely manner. Once those dues are processed and students are Asda members, they will receive an email from Asda with instructions on how to access their account, especially those D1 members. All Asda members have an Asda account, and some members might not know to look for this email. We recommend letting your members know that they will receive that welcome email with their login information. On the screen here, you can see that they would then navigate to asdanet.org, select the green login in the top right, enter that username and password, and then they can go ahead and log in to access those deals and offers and other initiatives that Asda has. If you forgot your password, of course, there's the forgot password link as well. Something else that members at your school may need is a proof of membership letter. In each member's My Asda profile, highlighted on the screen, once they're logged in, they'll have the ability to download the proof of membership letter. This letter will include the member number. So for predoctoral students, the Asda membership number is the same as the ADA number. It's a joint number. That number will be on this letter. The member's join date and membership expiration date will be listed on the letter as well. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask Ellen to share more information about chapter finances and the expectations you'll fulfill as a leader. Take it away, Ellen.
All right, thank you, Kylie. So I believe that many of the chapters raise money for different activities. And in that sense, it's going to be important to think about your chapter as a business. So I'd like to provide some insight into best practices and what's expected if your chapter does manage funds. So some of the information that I'm going to be referring to can also be found on this website. You would just go to the Get Involved, then the chapter management resources, and then managing chapter finances. All right, so if you are not familiar with the Internal Revenue Service, I'm hoping by the end of this portion you will be, because they're a key player when it comes to finances. So the Internal Revenue Service, or what I'll refer to as the IRS, its main purpose is to collect taxes. So whether it's from individuals or businesses. So really for the rest of your lives, there's no escaping this unit of government. And since your chapter operates like a business, raising funds for activities, the IRS is going to take an interest in how much money your chapter is raising. Now, although the chapters are components of National Asda, they do operate independently, so they are separate legal entities. And as I mentioned, if your chapter is engaging in activity with the exchange of money, it's going to be important to think about your chapter as a business. And with a business comes IRS tax filings. So the IRS assigns a one-time number to a business. It's often referred to as either just a tax ID number or sometimes an EIN number. The number is similar to a Social Security number. It's really a way for the IRS to track money that you're raising. And you wouldn't even be able to open a business bank account without this assigned number from the IRS. So the majority, I believe, of the chapters are all set with their tax ID numbers. So the IRS wants to track your money so that they can tax it, basically. However, National Asda has a tax exempt status under an IRS code of 501c6. And many of our chapters are also exempt under what we call a group exemption. But being tax exempt doesn't really exclude you from still filing financial reports with the IRS. So we have 46 chapters that are part of our group exemption. Some of the chapters are not part of it since it's really the school that might be managing their funds. And there is a list of the chapters that are part of our group exemption on that chapter finances webpage. Now, if your chapter has its own bank account, it's going to be really important to keep good financial records. So just because your chapter may be tax exempt doesn't mean it's exempt from reporting to the IRS or even being audited by the IRS. So I highly recommend chapters have Google Drives where they're keeping all the documentation to pass on to the next leader. And in that Google Drive, you should be saving bank statements. Also, for easier documentation, if you can download the bank transactions into Excel, that will become very helpful in determining what would need to be reported to the IRS. And then as you transition leaders, you want to be sure that you're transitioning the names on the bank account. So I always recommend that there's two names. So it's typically the president and the treasurer, just so there's no issue with accessing the account if the one person is not available. It's also good for oversight because you don't want to be the only one on the account and then be accused of mismanaging chapter funds. And the one thing I have to point out is never run the chapter funds through a personal bank account, because then it becomes part of that individual's income and can very likely be taxed. So Asda runs on a calendar year. And what this means is that our financial reporting is from January through December. And all the IRS reporting is on this same calendar year. And this can be challenging because your leadership year is different than a typical calendar January through December year. And that's also why it's going to be really important to keep all your financial records in order. So with the transition of leaders, there's no financial information getting lost. And then even though we may not have to pay taxes, we still have to report to the IRS our income and sometimes even the expenses. Tax exempt entities file one of these IRS 990 forms, and they're always due by May 15th. And it reports on the previous year's activity from January through December. So the amount of money you bring in, so your total deposits between January and December, will determine which IRS form needs to be filed. If your chapter deposits are less than 50,000, it's a real simple 990N form that can be filed, and Asda can do this on your behalf. So in February, I reach out to all the chapter presidents and treasurers, and I'm requesting the total deposit amount for that previous calendar year. If your chapter brings in more than $50,000, so $50,000 in deposits, it would require a 990 EZ to be filed. And even though it's referred to as an EZ, it's still going to require you to provide financial information such as how much of your deposits were from member dues versus how much might have been from sponsors. And you may also be having to report expenses on that form. So chapters, the leaders would be responsible for filing this form since you all are managing your finances and have the information to complete that document. I'm always available to assist, and I have a sample of how the form can be completed that I'm always happy to share if you are required to file the 990 EZ. And then as a reminder, because your leadership year doesn't coincide with the IRS financial reporting year, keeping detailed records of all the bank transactions is going to be really critical in assisting the next leader in reporting accurate financial information. So I'm now going to turn it back over to Kylie, who's going to deliver the remainder of tonight's presentation.
Yeah, I should be more ready to unmute. There we go. Thanks, Ellen. As Ellen said, we're nearing the end of tonight's presentation, and we have a few more slides to share before we close with Q&A. Developing an ongoing relationship with school administration is important. Strong chapters enjoy a positive relationship with the dental school dean, faculty, and other key staff in administration. Many chapters have regularly scheduled meetings with administration to exchange information and build relationships. Here are some ways we recommend to create that dialogue and demonstrate your chapter's value. Ask your dean to attend recruitment events such as Lunch and Learns or your Fever Weeks to show his or her support for the chapter. Informing the dean of recent accomplishments your chapter has made at the local and national level. Ask the dean's opinion on issues facing your chapter, including membership recruitment and retention. Communicate with administration and share your chapter goals on a regular basis. Consider writing a report for the dean after meetings and events that your chapter attends and invite them to your local chapter events. Make sure you thank the dean for sending your chapter members to national meetings. Low market share and member engagement and lower faculty or administrative support are often related, making the chapter's relationship with administration a worthwhile goal. Now I want to give you another chance to share some information about your chapter, and we'll pause for you all to share one success or challenge you've had when meeting with your administration. Go ahead and share some of that information in the chat. Anyone want to share? I'll give you a couple minutes. Schedules, yeah, people are busy. Has anyone else experienced similar? Or ways that they're able to get time on the calendars even though people are busy? Busy with CODA. I think Rebecca is from Lincoln Memorial. Rescheduling and never actually meeting. Interesting. resistance to missing class. And this information is helpful for us too. Hopefully it's helpful for you all to share these things. Yeah, we're definitely seeing some similarities here. You guys can continue to share, and we'll be able to share some of this information out after the meeting as well, so that it can help you moving forward. As we're continuing to share about working with administration, another important relationship to spend time on is that with your chapter advisor. National Asda requires chapters to have a chapter advisor on file. Your advisor can help you gain information from administration and guide your relationship. They can support you when you're faced with challenging decisions or sometimes with those scheduling hurdles. It's helpful to select someone who supports and understands organized dentistry, who understands you as students and the channels at your school for progressing with your chapter goals. As we've heard throughout tonight's presentation, there are many ways that members can get involved with Asda. As a chapter leader, it's your job to help them put what their interests are into action. You can see here those ways to get involved, those things we've been talking about like community service, wellness, advocacy, and of course, leadership. Throughout your Asda experience as a leader, you will continue to see students interested in these areas, and you will be able to help them get involved through your chapter and national Asda opportunities. Asda is over 22,000 members. It's 70 chapters with 3 more on the way this year, 11 districts, and 1 national Asda. Asda is you. It's the voice for over 22,000 dental students. Your leadership and your work at your local chapter strengthens this voice and supports the nationwide network of dental students. Asda really is family, it's community, it's hope. We are so excited to see what's coming as you lean into your role as chapter leaders this year. We can't leave you without letting you know how to get connected with us on social media and stay up to date on all that's going on. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at Dental Students. Both you can follow us personally, and all of your chapter Instagrams should be following at Dental Students as well. Bookmark the website asdanet.org and note our general email address, membership@asdanet.org. These are our emails, Sarah, Ellen, and myself, Kylie. All of our email addresses are our first name @asdanet.org. You'll also see here, and I think Sam referenced this in the beginning, a Calendly link, calendly.com/ASDA Leader Check-in. We encourage you to schedule a check-in with us. You can do a 15-minute check-in or a 30-minute check-in. You can easily check our schedules and go ahead and book time to talk about further any of the things that we've talked about tonight, any other successes or challenges that your chapter is experiencing. With that, we're going to open it up for Q&A, and I think I saw a few questions in there that Sarah will guide us on.
Yeah, thanks everyone for submitting your questions. Our first question this evening is for Ellen, and that is, how can a chapter join the group exemption?
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, if you go to that web page that I referenced under the chapter financial information page, it will list what needs to be done to become part of our group exemption. So you'd have to have your bylaws, an affiliation agreement, make sure that your chapter has the tax ID. But before you do that, I would also go to that page and download the list of all the chapters that are part of our group exemption. It's quite possible that you are already part of it. And if you're not in there, feel free to reach out to me, Ellen, at asdanet.org, and I can help guide you through the process.
Thanks, Ellen. And thank you to Bill for posting that link in the chat. Appreciate that. And our next question is, what are the dates for Asda Fever Week? Kylie, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so there's no date that National Asda requires for you to hold your fever weeks, because we know that schedules are different school to school. So we recommend holding it when it fits into the schedule, but hopefully as soon as you can after D1s are on campus and maybe have a little bit of time to get settled in. So that might be during your school's orientation week or right before or right after. Most chapters hold their fever weeks, I would say, in mid-July through third-ish week of August. And some really hold it all the way into October. So you're going to do what works best for your school. And just to comment on that Asda Fever Week challenge that we have, that will be opening July 6th, and it'll stay open through October. So there's plenty of time for you all to apply after you've completed your fever week.
Thanks, Kylie. Our next question is, which month is Advocacy Month? Kylie, do you want to take that one?
November. Right, November, yes. So
Yes.
we'll be communicating much like with the other monthly events. You know, we start communicating out what those initiatives will look like in the week prior to the month opening up. So Advocacy Month is November, and we might as well state the other months as well. September is Wellness Month, and January is Community Service Month.
Our next question is, what are the average dues local chapters require for their members, if any? Kylie, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so many chapters do charge local dues to their members, and those usually range between about $10 and $30. If you're looking to do anything more than $30, I would say you want to really think about what is the member getting for giving the chapter the $30. So people might ask you or have questions about what the additional local dues is going to, and you'll want to have answers to that. But yeah, between $10 and $30 is the average.
Any other questions? And feel free, if you would like, you can unmute or turn your camera on and ask that way also.
Hi. I did have another question about, I guess, like tax ID information. So we had a sponsorship by the ADA insurance, like ADA insurance, and we were supposed to get a check from them, but the holdup has basically been that because I'm not able to give them a tax ID that she has to submit to like her finance department, she's not able to send the sponsorship check. So I had my school send the school's tax ID, but she said that wasn't accurate. How do I get my Harry Asda chapter's tax ID information so we can get our sponsorship check?
Okay, so you are part of our group exemption, Meharry. So
Yes.
I can send you the W-9 form. That's the form that will show them what your tax ID number is. And then you can pass that along to your contact at the ADA, and they should be able to send you that check.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Hello. I just had a quick question as well. So I'm Miriam. Hi, I'm from Midwestern Arizona. First of all, I really appreciated you guys' feedback on membership and ASDA Fever Week. And I just had a quick question on like how, if you guys had any recommendation or advice on how we can keep the momentum going after Fever Week. I oftentimes feel like with students after Fever Week is over, that they feel like, okay, where is that as the engagement afterwards, right? And I know with our meetings and keeping people involved, and I feel like a lot of these conferences, this is kind of what sparks a lot of people's like interest as well. But if you guys have any additional advice, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I can comment on that. And honestly, if others can put comments to that question in the chat, or can unmute after this too and share your experiences. But yeah, with ASDA's initiatives, I mean, that's part of the way, and that's part of why they're structured the way that they are, so that there will be continuing initiatives as time moves on. So that September, November, and January timeframe for the months that we do, there's always going to be ebb and flow. I think it's really keeping the communication open. So social media is going to be important. Like we talked about back in the slides on some of the role of the chapter leader slides, it's having those events, it's meeting with folks sometimes individually to find out what some of their goals might be, how they want to volunteer, how they want to get involved. Yeah, Sarah, you can comment too. Sam, feel free to comment. Every chapter is going to be, it's going to be a little bit different. And some things that your chapter out in Arizona might find as something to keep themselves engaged. If it's a wellness event and you're doing a hike, that might be something that really works well for your chapter. But it's keeping Asda top of mind. It's keeping in front of them. It's continuing to build those relationships. It's showing them that this is a community, that it is a family, what those opportunities are.
Yeah. No, this helped. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to poke your brain and get some input. I appreciate it.
And we would definitely recommend scheduling a check-in through that Calendly link, because we can really talk about this more and how your chapter works individually, and kind of what more of the challenges are and what we might find success with.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And Stacy put a great suggestion in the chat too, to meet with the chairs of your committees to brainstorm any new ideas that they have. So keeping people involved at the committee level, I think will also help engagement. Another question that we had, Kylie, is what committees do you recommend a new chapter to focus on?
And we have maybe a couple other new chapters on here that can also feel free to comment on this, but it's going to be that engagement and membership piece, potentially fundraising and events. You want to start getting in front of members again, telling them what Asda is all about. You all are the best advocates here because you're experiencing this. Those of you who are attending conferences and bringing that information back, attending these types of meetings and getting to go back and say, here's what we learned, here's how we goal set, here's the initiatives that we know are coming up. You're going to be prepared to continue talking about these things. Most chapters have a wellness chair, an advocacy chair, a community service chair. So those are definitely going to come. And as Stacy was saying, then you'll be meeting with those people, brainstorming, and you'll probably start going down roads to see what other committees you may want to have as part of your chapter. It's going to fluctuate a little bit too, but again, for a new chapter, I mean, the e-board, of course, is going to be highly involved. And again, I'm just going to say that I know that Rebecca's from Lincoln Memorial, and we'll be reaching out to you to continue to meet, and we recommend scheduling that check-in too. I'm just looking at the chat and I see how often would you prefer check-ins to be. And if you're speaking about with us, we'd love you to check in with us anytime that you have something you would like to get our support on, get our feedback on, how we can help you. I think most chapters, we try to connect with everybody at least annually. And then again, on some of the slides before, you saw that we recommend the e-board meeting at least quarterly, checking in with those chairs. I mean, some people are doing that at least monthly, and the e-boards are meeting potentially more than monthly as well.
All right, thanks, Kylie. Any other questions or comments for us?
Yeah, I have a quick comment. I want to give another idea for Miriam's question regarding how to get people engaged and involved. So one thing I would recommend is taking a look at your leadership structure and actually using leadership positions to get people engaged. So for example, where I go to school, our ASDA chapter has at least 40 to 50 leadership positions. I don't, that's a lot of positions. I'm sure other schools would vary all across the spectrum. But I think that's very smart because it gets all those 40 to 50 people involved directly, right? And so one thing it does is, especially the D1s. So here, let me break this down. So we have different committees, obviously, as everyone does. So let's say I'm talking about the advocacy committee. We have usually 2 chairs per committee, and then within that, we'll have a number of different positions. That can vary year to year depending on how much interest there is. But I remember when I was involved in that committee, we had about 7 or 8 associates within the committee itself. And these were mostly D1s, right? So this is just a testament to how much D1 interest there was as soon as we opened up all those positions. So now all of a sudden, those people who are trying to get involved have their foot in the door, they have leadership positions. And yeah, when you increase the number of positions, each of them will do fewer things. But then you can kind of see who's actually trying to be involved, who wants to be engaged long-term, and then those who are genuinely interested will continue to do so. And then also with that many heads together, they'll find new ideas and innovative ways to keep everybody else who are not in leadership positions continuing to come to events. So that's one thing I would definitely start by is, and this doesn't need to be like a formal structural change to your bylaws or anything, because it's just associate positions at the community level. And we usually open this up during August or September when the new D1s join right after Fever Week. Right, so they've at that point they've identified 2 things. One, the comprehensive programming that Asda has, and then 2, the strength in numbers that we have not only within our schools, not only within our districts, but nationwide. And all of a sudden they want to get involved. And so that's why we open up those positions, and they do. And then I think that helps a lot. So that's one idea I want to share as well.
This was super helpful. Yeah, I just wrote it down. Thank you so much. I might message you if when the summer goes to an end, but thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Anything else? We're coming up on time, I know. Any other questions? Thank you all so much for participating in tonight's session. Our thanks to Sam for opening the Asda Chapter Leadership Academy Asda 101 presentation, and of course, they're sharing his insight just now. Again, this program was recorded and it will be emailed to all participants. We'll also be sending a brief survey on tonight's program, and we would appreciate your input so we can ensure that we're offering the resources our chapter leaders need. Look for information about those next 2 sessions in the Asda Chapter Leadership Academy to be available soon. So the next session in August is going to be on chapter leadership, and a following session in September on chapter communication. We will also have a chapter leader speed networking event on July 23rd on chapter goal setting. That'll be at 7 p.m. And we're going to share the link right now in the chat. You can register tonight. Don't miss out. It'll be a super fun event where you guys will get to do a lot more of the networking and the idea sharing that you did tonight. We'll send you out into networking rooms so that you can really share the ideas that work and the challenges that you have at the local level. Again, we thank you so much for your time and attention. We really look forward to working with you all this year. Thank you all so much. Thanks again for your time, for your attention. We wish you all a wonderful night. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.